All righty, builders, welcome back to another week of office hours. George again here. Today we're going to be keeping it pretty short, pretty brief, working through the board and calendar features. And we're going to be working inside of this employee repository app that we've been building onto each and every week. So to start, I'm going to navigate to my interactions table here. We've gone over extensively a good bit about the table home page here, where you see your records that you've created in your tables in this table spreadsheet looking format. Now at the top, you'll notice here we have our board and our calendar view options. So we haven't really dove into these yet. That's what we're going to do today. So board and calendar are just two different ways of seeing your data, where it's going to pull from the same exact records that we have on our table home. It's just a different orientation, right? Like I said, a different way to view that data. So if I go on a board here, I've already set my interactions up on my board and my calendar, but when we get to compensation records and employees, we'll set those up together. But board is going to be a typical Kanban style. So you're going to see different columns separated by a field. In this case, we're using our type field. So if we go back over here, we have a type of interaction, right? That's what I'm using to split up these various boards. I've got a plus record here, right? This is an add record button that allows you to quickly add records to this column. If you notice, when I click that, it's going to auto generate or auto select that field of type to positive feedback, which is the column that I'm adding from. And then underneath that, I have a list of records, right? This is showing my employee name here, which is the only field that I'm displaying on the board for right now. If you just notice, as I clicked on that, these are actually draggable to sections, so I can drag them to and from different columns on the board. And when I do so, you'll notice it prompts me to save or discard changes, so I can make a bunch of card movements around here, and then when I'm ready to actually save, I can do so. If I click discard changes, it's just going to reset my board to the layout I had and what the record values were before I started moving those cards around. So when we come to board setup, we click the setup board here. If you have not set up your board, which you'll see later when we get to the compensation records and employees, this will actually auto prompt you. You're just going to have 4 different options here. The first one is going to be select field to determine column selections. This is just saying, hey, based on the different fields you have, how do you want to orient your data into these columns? So like I said, I chose type for this one. It's the most logical selection for splitting up my interactions records. And then after that, you have a title field, a field 2, and a field 3, which, as you'll notice, I only have employee name selected here, right? I don't have field 2, and I don't have field 3 selected yet. So when I come into field 2, I can select the details, and then field 3, let's add in the date hired. I go ahead and save those changes. You're going to see it loading, and then it's going to pull in the additional fields onto this card that I just added. Remember, we've only got one record in the table home here, right? Only one record on this table, so it just looks a little empty right now. Your record options down here, you can either copy the link to the record link, or duplicate the record or delete the record from here as well. So as a quick overview of the board, like I said, we're going to get into compensation records and employees in a little bit, so we'll skim over to calendar for the time being. Now, this calendar view, right now, I am at the month view. We've got 2 different options. We've got month and week view. You can click in between 2 by selecting the button up top, right? And the weeks view is just going to show you those days of the week up top. The month view, like a normal calendar, will show you your full month at a glance. Now, I don't have any records showing right now, right? The 15th is highlighted in blue just because that's the current day, right? Today's May 15th. Now, if I look over at table home, I can see that, there we go, interaction date time here is 4/24/25. So that's be the reason I'm not seeing my record over here. If we go into setup calendar real quick, we've got setup field to determine calendar date, and then we have a select an end date, which is optional. This calendar does have the feature to span across days. So if you have a record that has a start and an end date to show you some kind of timeline for record, you will see that calendar pill or card, whatever you want to call it, stretch across multiple days. But real quick, back into setup calendar date, we've got the title field and we've got the secondary field showing as details, right? But like I said, we're not seeing that current card because that interaction date is in April. So let's go ahead and key back a month by using the navigation arrows here. You'll see that down below, there we go, my card popped up. Once again, I can click, open that record from my calendar, right? And then exit that record from there as well. Oop, wrong button. So I go back to the month. I've got the time because the field I'm using is actually a date time. So it's not only showing me that April 24th is my date, it's also showing me the timestamp, 2:42 p.m. Because I once again open up that record real quick. I've got a date time of April 24th, 2025, 2:42 p.m. showing there. Go ahead and click back here. And then, like I said, we've got our employee name and our employee description showing on that card. Now, the calendar cards are pretty small by default. So fields like descriptions, long paragraph fields are probably not the best fields to use there. Maybe something like a type. Go ahead and save our changes. There we go. That's going to show a lot better on these smaller calendar cards. But if you've got days where you've got multiple cards, those cards will be scrollable within your field of view there. If we go to week, we can actually kind of scroll back here. Oh, we're in March. Where am I? There we go. Okay. So 3 p.m. here, we've got the times on the left side here. So if I look at my April 24th, I've got that card for my record showing in that actual time slot. So if you are utilizing a date time field, you are going to see the times corresponding in that weekly view, whereas the month, you're just going to see it corresponding to that day. So that's a quick overview of boarding calendar with some existing examples. Let's go ahead over to compensation records and let's go ahead and set up some of these boards and calendars. So before I dive into creating the board, let's look at our data here. Let's look at what kind of fields we have. Let's open up the record just to ensure these are all 5 fields that we have. Yes, they match. Okay, so compensation records. We only have 2 different types of compensation records here. So, but we also have employee role, which is a lookup, but just trying to think of the board field to use. It's best. Actually, let's do this. When we get to the employees table, we'll go ahead and use employee roles to split up our board. Even though we only have 2 selections in the type, starting salary or annual raise, we'll use that as our board selection. So like I said, don't have this board set up yet. It has now prompted me to set up this board. I'm going to select my field to determine column sections, scroll down, find my type field. Now from here, I definitely want to show my employee name. I don't need to show my type again because I already have that. Let's do the date. That might be helpful. And then the amount. So we've got our employee name, our date, and the amount for what kind of compensation record it is. And there we go. So we've got obviously the same amount of records in each board here, but these are scrollable. You can see every single starting salary record and every single annual raise record and their corresponding type completed by their employee name, date, and amount. And once again, you can drag all of these cards to and from different sections, move them around as you please. Go ahead and discard changes there. We're not trying to save anything just now. So simple setup for the compensation records. Calendar, let's set this one up. We've only got 1 date field. You can go ahead and do date here. We don't need an end date. That is optional. The title field, let's add employee name and the amount. Oop. Go ahead, save our changes. And when should we be looking at? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we got to go back a little bit. Say, oh, looks like they're all stuffed into one day. Go ahead and look at week view. Let's go back to the month. Pulling through a little bit weird, but we got that week view. Like I said, these are scrollable cards within that day. That seems to be all the records we have, I believe, in this table. Are they all matching the same day? Yeah. Oh, 24 and 25. So if I wanted to, I could come over here. I can select 24. January, there we go. And that's a good call out right there. We do have the easy navigation between months and years. I had to go all the way back to 2024. So instead of kind of spamming that back button there, I'm able to click the drop down, select my month, and select the year I want to view. And it'll jump me right to that. So I've got my 2024, my 2025 records. Okay, employees table, last one here. Like I said, we're going to do the board by role. So let's dive right into that. It'll prompt us there. Let's select the role. Let's select the employee name. Date hired would be a good one. And what do we want? I don't know, shirt size. Go ahead and save changes there. And then boom, right there, we've got a bunch of different employees across 3 different role types. All right, last one here, calendar. Date hired. Let's leave that open for now. Title field, employee name, secondary field, home address. Save changes. Let's see, where am I? Ooh, oh wait, that's date of birth. Okay, I thought we were going to go back super far. So real quick, let's use that calendar feature 1/3/23 to quickly find that. So 1/3/23, boom, there we go. Until Lucky, and we've got Bevan's record over here as well. So it's a little overview of your calendar. Now, actually, let's do this real quick. Don't believe date hired is a required field. No, it is not. So we can leave that blank. Let's go ahead and do this. We're going to create a test record. The date of birth is required. Well, we won't say born today. Yeah, we'll say born today. Whatever. Sample data. Let's select the role developer. 1, 2, 3. Test street. Now, I'm leaving date hired empty. I'm going to go ahead and save and close that. If I go to my calendar, right, I'm not going to be able to find that record that I just created on this calendar anywhere because I have not selected a date. Off to the right here, next to the new employee button, you're going to notice a no date button. When you open that up, it's going to open a little drawer to the right and allow you to see records with no date hired. So whatever we're keying our calendar off of, right, we're keying it off of date hired. If the calendar searches when it's displaying those records and says, all right, we have these records that do not have that date, it's going to display them here for you. And you can click and drag, add that into the calendar, and you can go ahead and save your changes, right? And then we collapse that no date, and then our record is there. And we can then, from there, drag and move that calendar card around to any date we want, save changes, or discard changes. So if you do notice that you have records that are seemingly not showing up in your calendar, always make sure to check that no date slide out option. Now, lastly, I did say we have the ability to span dates. Let's see, what would be the best place to add a field? Okay, let's do this. So compensation record, right? Starting salary date 1/1/2024. Let's add a field to this table that says, we'll just keep it simple with an end date, but maybe this salary is good for 1 year. All right, I'm just going to bulk grid edit here. 1/1/24. Let's say that is, oh yeah, 1/1/25. So let's go back to January. 1/1/25. All right, go ahead and save there. Keep it real simple for now. Just do one record. But I'm going to go ahead and set up. Well, actually, that's going to be a big span. Let's not get crazy with it. Let's just say, let's go 2024. Let's do a singular. Let's just do a week. We don't need to be creating something that runs across an entire year. Oh, did I clear it? Or 2024 rather. Okay, 1/6/2024. Now, when I go on my calendar, set up calendar, I can do end date. I'll go ahead and save those changes. January 2024, and there we go. I'm going to see that calendar card spanning across all of my dates. So if you ever do have calendars that or calendar cards, records that are going to be having a start and end date, you can go ahead and utilize that. And lastly, one last note there, we do have a date range field that allows you to select a start and an end date. If you do utilize a date range field, when you're setting up your calendar and you select that date field, you just won't be able to select an end date, but it still will observe the start and end date from that field. So that is an overview of the board and calendar. Like I said, keeping things a little bit shorter today, but hope this helps you all out when using Buildaible and setting up your boards and calendars. As always, let us know if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out, support at Buildaible at any time. Comment on this video. We would love to help you guys out. Thank you and have a fantastic rest of your week.